If I'm being honest, for the first time today, I've never been this nervous about a presentation I've ever given in my entire professional life, and I give presentations professionally for a long time. The reason why is because I'm actually going to talk about myself, a subject I'm not passionate about, but I need to do anyway. The three words I'll start with are autistic, psychotic, and antisocial. And I'm not describing myself, but those were the words that were on a client file for a client that I had that changed my life. If you've been in this industry long enough, you know those clients that nobody else wants to work with. The hot potato client. And all the new support workers get chucked into that one. So of course, before I met, we'll call him Cameron, for the first time, I was expecting the worst day of my life. And it was one of the best shifts of my life. What the client notes didn't tell me was that he was incredibly interesting, incredibly intelligent, and made a mean cup of Nescafe 43. I now drink instant coffee because of Cameron. Because he'd make it and he'd say, better than the cafes. And I'd say, fuck yeah. And I now just do that. And every time I'd make myself a cup, I say, better than a cafe. Cameron, this is in block-funded days, mind you, a long time ago. Cameron only left his apartment twice a week. Once to go to the centre where I worked, and once to go shopping. His family had disowned him for cultural reasons. There was nobody in his life that would ask him how he was that wasn't paid to do so. He was on antipsychotic medication. If you know what that does, it makes you put on weight like crazy. It destroys your energy levels and makes you lethargic. It can give you acne, kill your sex drive. It's one of those drugs where you genuinely debate if it's worse than what it treats. As a young man in his 20s, I had very few tools in my support worker toolbox at the time. But I loved working out, and I thought maybe he would too. It would get him out of the house. It was somewhere nearby. Public transport lines, consistently open. He can be around people, but he wouldn't have to talk to them. So I took him. And he had a great time. And so did I. Then he came to the centre and he wouldn't shut up about it. So next week, I had 4 people with disabilities coming to the gym. I paired them up, I told them what to do, and I watched them do their thing. And it was in that moment that I saw what I wanted to do with my life. You know that feeling? Everyone thinks when you work in community services, just fucking rainbows and sunshine every day. And it really isn't. It's either a shit show or it's boring. But every now and then you get one of those moments, one of those shifts, one of those days where it really is awesome. Things you keep inside, things you keep forever. And you live for those. They're worth it. If you work long enough and hard enough. And so I knew in that moment what I wanted to do. And so I was all set to set up another program just like that, because this one grew to 10. They were showing up at 9 a.m, and anyone who works in disability knows if they get themselves somewhere by 9 a.m, they're keen. I was all set up to do a second one, but I couldn't do it because my dad died. My dad was autistic, but of course, he was in his 50s at the time, so he wasn't really diagnosed until my brother was diagnosed, so it was later on in life. Dad was just weird. But he was a computer game developer. Quite a good one, actually. Who's ever played The Sims? Yeah, my dad mentored that guy and helped him build that game. He was so good, he actually was hired by the US military to work on their programs. Weapon. But he wasn't exactly the poster child for healthy living. He drank a case of Diet Coke a day. That's what happens when you leave an autistic man who loves computers alone, but give him adult money. That was Dad. But it worked for him because he was really fucking good at what he did, and he didn't have to talk to anybody. It worked for him and it worked for the rest of the world. So he stuck with it. But of course, Dad died. I'm at the funeral. You should have seen the people at the funeral, all the gamers. Like, these were grown men in tracksuit pants going to a funeral. Fucking hilarious. It was a sight to behold. So I'm there. I'm going through the motions, in typical fashion, British fashion, Trout family fashion, me fashion. I'm not really processing a single thing. But I saw my little brother, Jackie boy, love of my life, walking up to the coffin, breaking down. I break down. And I couldn't handle the idea of my brother dying early. So I decided to do something about it. And it is incredible. You can tell the same story 1,000 times over 6 years and I still cry. Fucking hell. Oh, I hate it. Anyway, I decided I wanted to do something about that. And do you know what I did? Guess. That's right, absolutely nothing for 8 years straight. I talked about it though. Fuck did I talk about it. The second that third beer hit my lips, I had one subject in mind and one subject only. And you needed to call the military to get me the fuck off that topic. I was going for it. Took me a long time, but eventually I was in a job working in big, rich people, philanthropy. A bunch of them loved me. Told me, what are you doing with your life? What would you do if money was no object? I said, I'd do this in a heartbeat. They go, okay, great, done. Before I knew it, I had tens of thousands of dollars of angel investment funds in. I was meeting with very clever lads, and I was workshopping what I wanted to build. I was also on the back of a nervous breakdown at the same time, so I started my business on 1% battery. But as you know, small businesses make it everything worse. But I stuck to it. And then, as a guy who knew absolutely nothing, I started to build my business. The business was WeFlex. I had a goal. Because my background, community services, since I was 16 years old, I'd done 14 years at that point. I knew that it takes roughly 50 coffees to get your head around something or to build something. So I had 50 coffees with 50 very intelligent people, and I told them, that's my business idea, I want you to fuck it up. Attack it, go. And they did. It got refined, it got refined, it got refined. Till it got to a pretty damn good model. And I was like, okay, now I'm cooking with gas. Now I had to go and pitch it and raise money. Luckily for me, my last job was a pitch coaching organisation, so I was able to fundraise for it, and with nothing but my $1 million smile and a pretty good PowerPoint deck, I was able to raise $1.3 million. Thank you very much. I had to go to the bank. Oh, no, don't do that. It's okay. There's a long time for me to fuck this up, so let's just see if I'm worthy of that applause at the end. But the point is that I went to the bank and I literally asked them to transfer $1 million, and I had to say that out loud. That was surreal. But I had spent the last 9 years of my life at this point knowing what I was doing. There was nothing I hadn't worked out already. And so that's when I started. I worked my ass off. I made every single mistake you can make. I've made more mistakes than all of you. I have wasted more money than all of you. I've cried in a car. I've had panic attacks. I've punched walls. It's been a journey. Passionate guy, believe it or not. But I got to the point where in 2023, I was exiting. And I had a pretty damn good business. Its valuation at the time was around $10 million. And we were doing quite good traction. Put your hands up if you think quite a few of my business's problems would be solved if I had more leads. Like, you wouldn't be upset if a few more clients came through. Yeah. Guess how many leads I was generating right before I left? A month. Who can guess?
75.
75. Anything higher or lower?
400.
Yeah, 400. I had 400 leads coming through every month, red hot, and a wait list in the hundreds. It was awesome. I have no idea how I did that. how I built that thing. But I spent time, I retraced my steps, and people kept coming to me saying, how did you do it? And I realized, I looked at all my blunders, and I realized the path ahead. And that's why I started Disbranded. The whole point of this business was to help put the tools into the hands of other people to build beautiful brands, to build iconic brands. One of the reasons why is because when your family has disability in it, and you're used to engaging with disability services, and you're surrounded by it, it's a pretty depressing industry sometimes. And we as providers don't help that sometimes. Who goes to disability expos? They're pretty fucking lame, aren't they? Now imagine if they were the only brands in your life. Would you feel cool about yourself? Would you feel awesome? No. And that was the problem I had. One of the biggest issues I had getting my brother Jack into disability services was he would look at it and just say, that is so fucking embarrassing. Like, what am I going to do? Argue with him? That's where Disbranded came from, which is this. People come to me, and I love working with providers because I've been there and I've been through the wars. And as you say, a smart person learns from their mistakes. A really smart person learns from the mistakes of others. But people come to me, and almost every single time, hundreds of providers, hundreds of conversations, I end up having to give tough love, which I'm weirdly becoming famous for now. It's very direct feedback. There are 5 things providers do that is seriously hurting their brand. And if you hurt your brand, you hurt your reputation, you hurt that, you hurt your prospects. Branding isn't fancy, branding is core. It's the soul of the business. I won't hear otherwise. Here are the 5 things people do wrong. Put your hands up if you're a crap provider. None. It's funny because everyone talks about how many there are, but I've never met one. It's crazy, right? Everybody's awesome. Surrounded in a sea of crap, yet wherever you go there's none to be found. Put your hands up if you're an average provider. You know, slightly below average maybe. None? Put your hands up if you're an above average provider. Yeah, the hands start flying up now, don't they? Yeah, that's what I thought. All pretty fucking sure of yourselves. But the real question is like, by what metric? Everyone thinks they're unique. By what? And then the second I say, define how, everyone shuts up real quick. The number of times someone has told me that they're unique because they employ person-centered care. Or we put the participant first in our business, unlike other providers. Like I've ever had a conversation where it's like, we really prioritise everything but the participant, and it works. What
if you were a crap provider?
But
we're not anymore.
But you're not anymore. We'll talk about that later. Second thing they do is that they're very boring. What happens when you try and make everyone happy? You fail. What happens when you try and entertain everybody? You don't. Name a movie that was for every single person alive. You don't. Put your hands up if you saw your business, you'd be like, this is a roller coaster of a business. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I love the confidence. Outstanding. Well done. So if you don't stand out for yourself, why in God's name would you stand out for the people you're trying to attract? How many providers are there? Tanya Gomez? I don't need the technical talk. I just need a number. That's fucking hell. How much do you charge as a consultant an hour again? Let's just say there's 150,000 providers, probably more. How much? 237,000. 700,000 participants. What's the fucking ratio of that? Who needs more than 2 participants to stay afloat? Yeah, that's where you are. And if you're determined to say nothing that makes you stand out and be boring, you do not deserve participants. On their behalf, no. That's the feedback I'd give you. Thirdly, too many providers have forgotten who their audience is. I go to websites and it talks about participants. I go to ads on Instagram, literally talking about about participants, clearly directed at families. What the hell? Put your hands up if you're a person-centered business. Is your branding and marketing person-centered? Or is that designed at referral networks and the families and other professionals? Is that person-centered? Or are you potentially full of shit? It matters. Imagine if you were a provider that was only talked to the customer, the participant in all their glory, and no one else. No one else matters. I mean, if someone's marketing to them, as a brother, if I see someone talking to Jack directly, I'm not annoyed, I'm impressed. I have a client, cerebral palsy, in a wheelchair, non-verbal. I asked the mum, how do you know who the right support worker is? They talk to him. Even if they can't talk back, they talk to him. That tells me everything I need to know in the first instance. When providers don't do that, even in your marketing, even in your branding, that's the effect you're having. Don't think that parents want to be spoken to directly. They've got to sell your service to their kid, potentially. The support coordinator has to sell it. And it's hard to do that when all you're trying to do is sell them. Fourth, this one blows my mind, hence the emoji, and that is, I tell providers, I think you need to work on your brand because you don't have one. And they say, look, we're not like that. We don't really want to work on our brand. We're all about heart. We're all about mission. We don't really care about the bells and the whistles and the fanciness. And it's like, it's not fucking for you. The brand's not for you. It's for the participant. Put your hands up if you think they don't care about branding. There you go. Believe me, they do. A lot. They care deeply. And finally, too many providers are entitled. You need SIL service? I'm a SIL provider. Done. Here's the service agreement. We'll move you in next week. 1-to-1. That's like me saying to my gay mate, Nick, he's a gay guy. I'm going to connect you two together. You'll get married because you have so much in common. So when it comes down to it, you've just got to remember, if they're not choosing you, why should they? And if you don't have a compelling reason, you don't deserve them. They deserve better. They deserve brands that are obsessed with their needs, understand where they're at, and talk directly to them. And until you become the kind of business that is obsessed with all of that, I'm not going to feel bad for you if you say, we need more leads because we're awesome, and no one understands that. Have I lost you so far, or are we dialed in? With the remaining brain cells in the room. Luckily, I dumb things down. I'm like on that level. I look back, I trace my steps, and there's sort of 7 steps to what I followed, and I'm going to walk you through it. This is all the IP. Like, this is everything. Something here, or there's a gap, let me know. I'll tell you that too. Do it. First one. Whenever I work with providers, the first thing I do is we need a strategy because you need to be famous for something. I remember walking into my strategy session. I had a graphic designer, a girlfriend of mine who I knew. I always knew over the last 8 years, and I told her over 8 years, she was going to design my logo because I love this lady. She said, all right, we're going to go do a workshop. We need to unpack this brand. I need to understand it. And I'd spent the last 6 months with the investors, with the advisors in spreadsheets, Googling what is a business plan, Googling what's another version of a business plan, and it fucks your algorithm up, by the way. When you Google business stuff, you get all that founder porn for the rest of your life and drop shipping ads and all that. But I went into the room, and before I knew it, we were there talking, and me and my brother Jack, we looked at each other and we had the realization, we're not a disability business, we're not an NDIS business, we're a fitness business. Our customers have a disability, but that's not the point. We're a fitness business. We need to look like one. We need to talk like one. We need to act like one. They're our customers, but they're not who we are. We wanted to be their Nike. One of the best things they did, believe it or not, was they gave us this. These are called brand archetypes. Every brand falls in one. When you think about innovation and creator, think about Lego, Apple, Outlaw, Harley Davidson, Freedom, Patagonia, Flight Centre, Lover, Perfume. Everyman or belonging is Kmart, Target, something for everyone. Everyone thinks they're that, the service and the caregiver, and you're not. In fact, I will ban you from using that as a favour. Push yourself a little further. When you're trying to make everyone happy, you're not going to make any sense. But imagine if you had an actual personality. It makes everything a lot easier. It makes you easier to find. Until then, you're a bland piece of bland in a pile of bland. So if the whole world was disabled, so you couldn't advertise disability, how would you define your brand or your business? How would you do it?
Well, people would see you, like word of mouth and...
But what would you be known for?
Good work.
Good work. And we come back to that old trap, don't we? We're great.
What's your specialty?
Specialty. What are your interests? What are your passions? What are your beliefs? What are your philosophies? So one thing about it, United for Care, they're a lifestyle company. Payless is an adventure company. That's why they cut through quite well. Because it's not disability, it's the aspiration. Every brand is a promise. Every brand shows who you are, and if all you care about is the disability side of things, and they're going to think that's all you see in them. And if everybody is doing that, if everyone is zigging and you zag, is that going to help you be found? Not a trick question. Yes, thank you very much. Are we clear on that? Get a strategy. Who do you want to be? What do you want to become famous for? If your brand was a person in a room and I met them, what would they be like? What would be my impression? How would they dress? How would they talk? All of that influences how your brand defines itself. Second, develop a visual identity brand. This is what you actually see, the logo, the fonts, the colors. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. This is not fucking branding. This is lame. Can we stop with the love hearts, the hands, the trees, and the wheelchairs? Can we all make a commitment? Put your hands up if you like, my logo is next. Like, I am so worried. And if it is like that, are you going to stand out? And again, do you think everyone wants their disability provider to love them? It's creepy. I don't need your deep passion to help me take a shit. Like, be really good. Thank you. I'll take that applause, actually. Yeah. What if you were just really good and you treated them like adults? Efficient service, reasonably done, reliable, great, and there's other stuff attached to it. This is your projections. These are your things, not their things. There's a lot of surveys out there now around people with disabilities. None of them are like, we need more love hearts. We don't feel loved by the industry. All they're crying out for is like, we're not treated like adults or like individuals. And yet, it's the exact same thing all the time. This is why you pay a designer. This is why you spend time developing your strategy and your visual identity. Because if everyone looks like this and yours looks rad like an adult company, you will stand out. And they'll see your values and what you see, and they might see themselves in you. Making sense? Anyone feel personally attacked? Because I don't feel bad if that's the case. Like, I love you, Ward, I want you to be good, but I believe being kind is being clear and being direct. Tough love, I told you. Find your voice. 3 parts to this. Firstly, brand framework. Simple, a little bit boring, I admit, but it does help. Vision, tagline, mission, principles, not values, and brand traits. If your brand was a person, what are their habits? What are their instincts? How do they respond to things? Really important you have all of that worked out. And if your vision statement is like 13 sentences, it's a manifesto, go get some sleep. 3 key messages. Fun fact, we have capacity is not a key message. Give me money now is not a key message. A key message is something that you say that no one else is saying. And the good news is, despite the immense amount of competition, no one's saying anything. You're allowed to have an opinion. And as we talk about with boring, I tell my clients all the time, if you were polarizing, really polarizing, you would lose 80% of the market, but you would gain 20%. It's truth, right? And for many, that's plenty. And I meet with providers, a lot of opinions, a lot of strong personalities. I love this industry for that reason. You look at their company and it is so bland. And then you meet them and it's so fiery and passionate and interested and has strong opinions. And you're like, where the fuck was that on the website? Like, dare to declare who you are is the point. And finally, storytelling. What do you think is more compelling? Saying you're awesome or a participant saying you're awesome? Participant, right? So to some extent, I'm kind of banning you from talking about how high quality you are. Because define that, it's relative. One person's high quality is another person's low quality. Doesn't mean anything. Who here, when they're going to go to a hotel, if they're going to buy something worth over a certain amount of money, go straight to the Google reviews? Yeah. But why? They told you it's awesome. So why are you going to the reviews? They said it's high quality. Validation, baby. Creative execution. So, we know what we want to become famous for. We know who we are. We know what our business is outside of disability. We've developed a striking visual manifestation of that. Something that stands out, something that's adult, something that your clients won't feel cringe over. And you've also put your opinions out there, your principles, the hills you will die on, the messages, the things that you have to say. Now that is all out there. And we start putting it together. Stock images are bad. Don't do them. I'll give you an example. I just opened up in Sydney a fruit store. I have the freshest, most delicious fruit in all of New South Wales. We're talking about choice, ripe, perfect fruit. Check it out. Do you like my fake fruit? That's what stock images is. It's fake fruit. It's not real. And if you don't have enough participants, great, take a photo of yourself and talk to camera. Something authentic. Authenticity sells. You're shy? Too bad, it's not for you. Mum, support coordinator, they're desperate for a reason to trust you. Stock imagery doesn't make anyone trust you. It's lazy. That's crap. So how do you do it? When I was at WeFlex starting out, me and my brother Jack, I don't know how, but we were invited to talk at a national advertising conference to talk about media representation and the rest of it. And me and Jack being autistic, me being pretty much autistic, we both got zeroed in on one part of it. And that was when we were building stuff out, we couldn't even find stock imagery of people with disabilities in the gym. It was like 3. And we found more photos of dogs in the gym, more photos of people with fidget spinners on their forehead than we did of 20% of the population doing an activity that most of the population does. What does that tell you? So we had to go. And then quite a few of those agencies reached out and said, can we do a free photo shoot for you to give you those stock images? We decided to get people with disabilities to be our models. We paid them for their time. We put on a photo shoot for a day. One of the best days of my life. That was fun. That was something I'll keep forever. And then every year we did a photo shoot. It was an annual event. We put it out there and advertising agencies, media agencies actually had to pitch to us their vision for it. What they were going to pitch for, how much they were going to cost, how they were going to run it, what their vision for it was. And we had a lot of young people with disabilities who wanted to be models. A lot of our current clients who wanted to be models signing up. We put on a day. We got content for years out of that. And we made it freely available to anyone who wanted it, stock imagery. We actually turned a deficit into a real talking piece and a key message. And we were able to nail our creative execution with it. The whole we don't have it isn't true, most likely. Now, I'm at a crossroads now at WeFlex. I have, if I don't mind saying so myself, the sexiest brand, clear messages, amazing content. Everything was cutting through. I had partnerships with Anytime Fitness Australia, some of the biggest plan managers in Australia. I had partnerships overseas. Everybody wanted a piece of us, and yet nobody was fucking calling us or emailing us. I could count on two hands the number of clients I had. I just didn't understand what was going wrong. It is very scary when you work so hard, do everything you can, and it's still not working. See, this is the part where branding meets marketing. And luckily for me, my guardian angel arrived. Thank you for that, yeah. Just really quickly, true story. I had one or two marketing managers in the past, before Chris, who were not great at their jobs. I fired them. I put out what can only be described as a very unhinged video of myself on LinkedIn saying, can someone fucking help me with this? I am so over this. I'm over nothing being done ever. And through a connection, Chris Lapper was brought into my life. And I'm going to ask Chris to come up real quick, put him on the spot, to maybe just give 1 or 2 minute POV of his experience, which is going to be very pleasant and nice.
I am the mini-me. So. Look, I'm constantly in awe, and actually it was the first time Tommy made me cry today about what he said. But don't come to me unless you've done work with Tommy or someone like Tommy. Don't ask someone to promote your brand, fill a vacancy, advertise. Don't waste money on Google ads. Don't waste money on Facebook ads. Don't come to me with a photo of a SIL that looks like a crack house. I'm sick of it. Don't come to me that a house doesn't look like a home that you wouldn't live in. Don't come to me with ChatGPT written content, because it's going to cost you a lot more in advertising. You're not going to get the results you want, and it's not going to work. And so when you do the work, when you do what Tommy's saying, when you stand for something in this sector, your money's going to go further. Hopefully the best case scenario is I become redundant very quick. If that is a stopgap to get you out there and to broadcast the world how good you are and how unique you are, using Facebook ads, using Google ads, using whatever mechanics you want, but it has to start with what Tommy's saying. And so I came into WeFlex, and it was like I felt like I was cheating the system, because it was like a secret little marketing hack. I came in and Tommy had done the hard work. All I had to do was turn a few dials on the Facebook ads and do a bit of research, and marketing's using data and analytics, and guys like me will guide you through that process, or hopefully you can learn yourself. Guys like Greg and Paul and Michael and heaps of other people, but it all starts there. And so Tommy brought me in, and he'd done the hard work. All I had to do was tell the world how fucking awesome he was. And that was easy, because he had killer videos. He didn't have shitty stock photos. He had a story that he was sharing that was genuine to him. He was unashamable about it, obviously, but it cut through. And guess what? We took leads from $150 a lead to $15. We went from 15 leads to 150 leads. And then when we left, it was at like 400 a month. Like, that's scalable marketing. Imagine if Apple put shit content out there. Imagine if Steve Jobs didn't share his vision on stage and everyone bought into that brand. Imagine how much harder it would be to sell that. It's the same thing. I spend so much time in the school of Tommy that I'm I'm starting to see it and speak like him, and I can't help but say to every provider, hey, and dress like him. He dresses like me, come on. I look sharper than him. At least my shirt's tight. But it's true. It's true. Tommy had done all the hard work, and unlike Tommy, I do get providers, SIL providers coming to me with photos that are taken on iPhones with a finger half over the camera. The lawns look like they haven't been mowed in 3 weeks. And they're like, Chris, I got a vacancy. I just went and leased a house. Can you help me fill it? And I'm like, have you seen these photos? I can't roll this turd in glitter too much because it'll shake off very quickly. And so it's all about doing the legwork. It's all about telling a story, being clear, knowing who you're talking to, connecting with your audience. And it will change the cost of your leads. Your marketing dollars will go further. And best case scenario, guys like me are redundant very quickly because the sector just knows how fucking awesome you are.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Tommy.
Well said, Chris. That endorsement only cost me $500. Worth every penny. So, you build the machine, you set up your marketing, you set up your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your ads, your campaigns, your email marketing, you get everything connected, you make sure it's all there. You build the machine. And then what do you do once you build the machine? You feed the machine. You create content. A lot of it. And I want to be very clear. Inspirational quotes that you put on your Instagram tiles is not content. Resharing crap is not content. ChatGPT written dribble is not content. Content is authenticity. And the best part about social media from a content perspective is if you do an average job, it's okay. Everyone's going to forget about it in 10 minutes. You are throwing content into the abyss, but it's visible for like 3 seconds. So don't stress about it. But I know people who are like, I don't know why I'm not getting clients. Okay, well, how much stuff are you putting out there? Nothing. And it's like, okay. Fuck, like, where do you go with that? If you're not putting any content out there, and if you're not writing, if you're not putting yourself, you're not trying, why should you? You shouldn't. You don't get that. We go back to the entitlement part. But if you are constantly putting your true, authentic self and your vision and everything out there, unashamed, and do it regularly, even if you do it poorly, but it's real and it's raw. Give me a provider that takes bad videos of themselves talking about shit they care about, then slick nothing any day. You can do it. I hope you do it. And if you don't, totally fine, but that's where you're falling short and why you're not getting as many leads, interest, hype as maybe you would want. Sounds fair?
Yeah.
The last one. This one's a tough one. Just brace yourselves for it. Yeah, it's tough. I know. Who when they hear the word personal brand throws up in their mouth a little bit? That's a healthy reaction. Totally fine. I absolutely get that. Put your hands up if you've got a personal brand. Fun fact, you all have one. Whether you like it or not, whether you're in control of it or not. I know it's a $2 word for reputation, but you do have a personal brand out there. Too many founders, leaders in this sector don't put themselves out there because they don't want to make it all about them. But maybe the customers do want it to be about you because you're about to potentially take care of me for the rest of my life. So maybe I'd like to know a little bit about you. Sounds reasonable? Or is it just trust me, bro? Is that the strategy for content? Just trust me, it'll be fine. Like if you were booking holidays and you couldn't see the photos of the room, would you go there? But they're telling you it's fine, so why not? Put yourself out there. People are desperate to. Put your hands up if you would rather make a referral to a local provider with people that you know, you've had coffee with, that care about themselves and they care about the business over a large conglomerate, mega institutional provider. Who'd like the smaller one? Yeah, everybody does. But if they don't know who you are, they'll take the safe bet. every time. And you can't blame them for that. If you're hiding behind stock images and nothing else, and you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not going to fight for their attention and fight to put yourself out there, you don't deserve it. Sound good so far?
Yes.
Those are the 7 steps, but I got a bonus one for you. Not really a step, more a slide. All love to everybody in the room who's presented on this, but I want to make it very clear, AI is overrated. Now, it's good at lots of things, absolutely. But I see you guys signing your lives over to it. And so who uses AI to help you write content for the website? Lots of people do. Who uses AI as a search bar, as a search function, like Google? Yeah. Who uses it to help you make decisions on things? Just asking it questions or whatever. So AI is writing content that is read by AI, which is then interpreted by AI to give you advice. We're automating so much. What are you doing with your time? Honestly.
Feeding the AI machine.
Exactly right. Honestly, like, AI is great at AI is great at little things, functional things, A to B type things. And if you give it some rules, a sandbox, it can play quite well in that. But if you're asking it to communicate who you are, the rule I've always had, the rule I would encourage you to have, is don't use AI in any capacity that you wouldn't want people to know that you use it for. If we have a meeting and I send you the minutes, I don't care if you know I use AI for that. No one would. Would you be offended by that? If I sent you a condolence card because your mum died using ChatGPT, would you be offended by that? I'm being efficient. I'm automating. No. So, really fun fact. So, a few things. Apple put out a huge paper saying that AI is not that clever. Real problem with it. Google Brain says it is utterly overhyped. In fact, they even test AI on basic children's puzzles and it shits itself. I'm studying to become a doctor at university and they say don't use AI if not for the reason that it will just make shit up. It will invent references and sources that don't exist. Sam Altman, founder, says do not trust it. And all I see is providers just like trust falling back into it with all their precious information. Real problem. And this is crazy. Only like 2 weeks ago, Andy's package was rejected in Newcastle because the physio, I think it was physios, used ChatGPT to write the report. Imagine being the person who had it rejected because your team phoned it in. Is that acceptable? But this is where we're getting dangerously close to this type of shit. Fixing grammar is one thing, writing it is something else. And again, there are certain things that if it happened because of AI error, you'd actually be okay fronting the consequences of that. But if that was you or your team, you'd be mortified. Losing 200K to a plan changes lives. And that's where it's at. But you end up if you found this interesting or useful in the slightest. Is anyone here going to do a single fucking thing about it? Yeah?
Yes.
I'm 3 minutes over time. I'm so sorry. I feel like such a hypocrite. Oh. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
I was going to get closer and closer to you. That's what you do when I'm late. Okay, can we get another round of applause for my beautiful friend Tommy? Okay, we've come to the end of the day. Amazing. Okay, so